It was supposed to be a quick stop. Just a break from the long drive, you know? I'd been on the road for hours, heading toward a small town to meet some old friends. Somewhere along that empty highway, I spotted this old, run-down sign, Carnival of Shadows, tonight only. It looked faded, like it had been there for years, maybe even decades, but something about it caught my attention. I wasn't planning to stop, but my curiosity got the best of me. I thought, why not? It'd be a fun little distraction. When I pulled up, the carnival was not what I expected. It wasn't bustling with life like the ones from my childhood. No crowds, no bright lights, just dim, flickering bulbs barely holding on to life. The rides were rusty, their creaky frames swaying slightly in the wind. The Ferris wheel wasn't spinning, but it groaned like it wanted to. The whole place looked like it had been abandoned for years, but still, there was this eerie carnival music playing somewhere in the distance, like it was stuck on a loop. The parking lot was empty. Not a single car in sight. I almost thought about turning around and leaving right then, but something pulled me in. The place felt wrong, but at the same time, I couldn't shake this strange urge to explore it. So, I got out of the car and started walking toward the entrance. The sound of gravel crunching under my shoes was the only sound that wasn't off. The ticket booth was empty too, no one to take my money, so I just walked right in. Everything inside the carnival was coated in this layer of grime, like it hadn't seen a visitor in years. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and there was this salty smell, mixed with something old and musty, like rotting wood. Still, I shrugged it off, thinking maybe the carnival was just starting for the night and everyone was late. But deep down, I knew something was off the moment I stepped foot inside. The first thing that really set me on edge was the silence. Carnivals are supposed to be noisy, right? Laughter, rides, people shouting to get your attention. But here? Nothing. Just the occasional creak of metal and the distant hum of that strange music. I wandered around for a bit, passing empty stalls with half-deflated balloons and prizes that looked like they'd been there for decades. That's when I heard it. At first, it was faint, like a whisper carried on the wind. I turned around, thinking maybe someone was finally showing up, but the place was still empty. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just my imagination. Then I heard it again, clearer this time, footsteps, right behind me. I whipped around, but there was no one there. Just the empty path I'd come down. My heart started racing a bit, but I told myself it was nothing, just the wind playing tricks on me. But as I kept walking, the noises followed. Faint footsteps, barely noticeable, like someone was keeping pace with me but staying just out of sight. I stopped again, this time listening carefully. There was something else, whispers. Low, unintelligible murmurs, like a group of people talking in the distance, but no matter which way I turned, I couldn't make out the direction they were coming from. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I felt this strange pressure in the air, like I was being watched. I called out, "Hello?" Anyone there, but all I got in response was the wind and the creaking of the empty rides. I figured I'd had enough exploring for the night, but when I turned to head back toward the exit, I froze. The lights, those faint, flickering bulbs, had started to dim, one by one, as if the carnival itself was turning off. And then I heard it again, those damn whispers, but this time, they were louder and closer. I started walking faster, heading toward the way I came in, but the path didn't seem right. The stalls and rides had shifted. The layout of the carnival was different now. I should have been back at the entrance by then, but it was like I was walking in circles. And those whispers, they weren't just in the distance anymore. They were right next to me, circling me, like they were trying to get inside my head. My pulse was pounding in my ears as I passed by this old funhouse mirror. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something, a shadow, moving behind me. I stopped dead in my tracks, staring into the mirror. For a second, I thought it was just me, but then I saw it again. Something was standing just behind my reflection, watching me. But when I spun around, nothing. No one. At that point, I was freaking out. I wanted out of that place, but I couldn't find the damn exit. I started running, not even caring where I was going, as long as I could get away from those whispers, those shadows. That's when I noticed all the mirrors in the carnival were like that. Every time I passed one, I saw something, someone lurking just behind me. Always out of sight, but always there. I stumbled into one of the old tents, trying to catch my breath. That's when I saw it, a dusty, old journal lying on the ground near a broken chair. I don't know why I picked it up, but I did. The pages were brittle, yellowed with age, and as I flipped through them, I realized this carnival wasn't some rundown, forgotten place. It was cursed. The journal belonged to someone who'd worked at the carnival years ago. They wrote about strange disappearances, people going missing after visiting, and how the carnival itself seemed alive, like it was feeding off the people who got trapped there. It spoke of dark rituals, sacrifices to something that lived in the shadows. By then, I knew I had to get the hell out of there. The journal made it clear, once you're in, the carnival doesn't let you leave. But I had to try. I threw the book down and ran out of the tent, heading for where I thought the entrance was. But as I moved, the carnival seemed to shift around me. The rides, the stalls, they were all in different places, like the whole place was rearranging itself to keep me trapped. I was running out of options when I saw it. In the distance, there was this old, rusted gate. It looked like an exit. I sprinted toward it, my heart pounding in my chest, but before I could reach it, I stopped dead in my tracks. There they were, the shadows. Figures, dark and featureless, standing in front of the gate. They didn't move, didn't speak. They just watched me. I could feel their eyes, even though they didn't have faces. I took a step back, and that's when the whispers started again. Louder this time, more insistent. It felt like they were inside my head, telling me to stay, to give in. My legs felt heavy, like they were sinking into the ground, and no matter how hard I tried to move, I couldn't. The figures started walking toward me, slowly, methodically. I turned and ran the other way, but the carnival had changed again. It was like a maze now, and every turn I made brought me closer to the shadows. I could feel them behind me, their cold presence pressing down on me, suffocating me. I finally collapsed in front of an old carousel, panting and exhausted. I couldn't run anymore. The whispers were deafening now, and the shadows, they were everywhere. I was surrounded. I knew then that I wasn't getting out. The journal was right. The carnival doesn't let anyone leave. Out of the shadows stepped a man, the carnival's ringmaster, or at least, what was left of him. His clothes were tattered, his face pale and lifeless, but his eyes, they were filled with darkness. He smiled at me, this twisted, hollow smile, and said, "Welcome to the Carnival of Shadows. You're home now." The last thing I remember is the shadows closing in around me, their cold hands pulling me into the darkness. Now, I'm one of them, trapped here forever, waiting for the next curious soul to step inside and take my place.